All right, so now that you've got your listing, next step is optimizing it. So this is where we're getting into updating your information and making sure everything's correct. So to get started with optimizing, this is where you're putting in business information, a little description, your service area, your phone numbers, all that information that you see listed on the screen. You want to start by making some initial changes, but not doing a ton of changes really fast. You want to start slow and over time ramp up your efforts, because changing too much information at once could make your listing start to look a little suspicious, and it might cause you to have to re-verify the business again. So think slow and steady wins the race.
All right, so once you're in there, you're gonna basically populate. This is stuff you should know. You're gonna populate all these sections. You wanna have your business name. It should, and this is where you want word for word, comma for comma, abbreviation for abbreviation from your website to Google My Business. This actually really starts to help with your SEO ranking when those are verified, and those are things that algorithms are looking for on the backside. So make sure the name is the same as it is on the website. Also include primary categories for what your business is. Google already has these, so you have to search through. So start typing in keywords and it'll give you some suggestions. You can't just make up something. They have this subdivided on the back end for whatever their strategies for search are. So just know you can't make up something there. Then you'll put in your address. Once again, make sure that if you abbreviate suite on your website, abbreviate it on Google My Business. Same thing with street or zip code or anything like that. Just make sure word for word, period for period, comma for comma, it's all the same. Then you're going to put in service areas so you can kind of say what different sections of your region that you're willing to service. It can be by cities, it can be by state, it can be nationally. So you want to make sure that you're accounting for all of those different areas, especially if you're trying to target a specific area, like if you're expanding into a new city, make sure you've listed those in there. Then you're going to put your normal business hours in, as well as holiday hours. And one really nice thing is Google My Business will email you on a pretty regular basis. One that pops to my head is Labor Day. A couple days, probably the week before Labor Day, I got an email from them saying, "Are you going to be closed on Monday?" And of course, we're going to be closed. And it says, click here to update and make sure that your hours are updated for those holidays. So they have some built-in reminders for national holidays if you want to customize it, but you can also pre-populate any holiday hours in there as well. And finally, you're going to want to make sure your phone number is there and accurate.
So next up, you want to create a description for your business. So when you get in your Google My Business listing, you'll click on info and then description. And so this is where you can start kind of telling your story. It's an open text area, so there's not really any kind of, you have to do this, you can't do this. So tell people what makes your business unique. That's a big thing, and just standing out from the crowd. You have up to 750 characters, but about the first 240, 244 are going to display on the Google My Business listing unless a visitor clicks to read more. And they do have that option. So don't be afraid to write a bit. Just remember, not everybody's going to take that opportunity to click. It isn't a ranking factor, so keep that in mind. However, that being said, don't overstuff with your keywords. Make it sound natural. Think of like your elevator pitch and just a natural conversation you're having with someone. Your description is not the place to add links. And finally, don't use all caps, because in internet, that is the equivalent of yelling at people. So we don't want to yell at people. Now, if you're trying to emphasize a certain word, like you have a free thing you want to offer, then that's okay. But in general, don't use all caps.
With discretion.
Yes. So this is just a rundown of those tips that we had. We'll have some resources coming to you guys after later on, probably in a couple of days, and it'll have all this information in there. But again, there are certain things you'll want to save for your website, so keep that in mind. Stuff like family owned and locally owned. People don't really probably care about that when they're just searching for businesses on Google. And then another thing, don't throw sales pitches out there. That's what your posts are for. We'll get into that later.
There's a place for that.
Yep.
All right, there's also a section for attributes, and attributes are the smaller details about your business that highlight your most important features and distinguish you from your competitors. So they show up below your business description and give customers a better idea of specific offerings, payment options, accommodations, anything like that. So you can add as many attributes that are applicable. If something doesn't apply to your business, click or tap twice to remove it. So if accessibility is important, if you're a retail space, you can definitely list that out. Any specific offerings, payments. More often than not, this is more important if exceptions are a part of your business. This is just making sure that when people come visit you or they call you, they're not surprised by that. So that's a really nice thing that they're taking into consideration of what does that look like. You don't want to start your relationship with a new customer by them being disappointed or frustrated. Now, this is not guaranteeing people will read this, but we're at least at least have the opportunity to read through this information. So this is just same thing. You're just logging in through you can do this through both mobile. There's a mobile app. We'll talk about that in a minute, and through desktop. Desktop is just a little bit easier because there's more space to navigate through it. And the tapping and clicking twice to remove things can be a little bit trickier is what we're finding. By no means impossible on the mobile app, but most people we're just seeing prefer to do maintenance on their Google My Business listing through the desktop.
Okay, so next you need to give your business listing an open date, and this should actually be the original opening date of your business. Not when the physical location opened, not the date you purchased the business or acquired ownership. It needs to be, if you opened in January 1986, you list January 1986. If you bought the business in January 1996, but it opened in 86, you need to list January 1986 as that open date.
So there's also an option for anybody who's opening new locations is if your business isn't open yet, you can actually enter a future open date, which is great. So that allows you to do some coming soon and really get the word out there, also get your listing in the Google algorithms so that you're starting to populate. So if you sign into Google My Business, you have, and if you have multiple locations open you'd like to manage, click the info, and then you can do the opening date, select the pencil icon, change it to whatever future date you need to, and apply. So just know that's a nice little thing that, once again, they've actually been thinking about what this is like for business owners. So it allows you to create some buzz.
So next is your service areas. Like Amanda said earlier, you can enter cities or regions that you're targeting or that you already service. You can also add postal codes. The big thing to remember here is that no matter how big your service area is that you set, it's unlikely to appear in a search result greater than 20 miles away. So just keep that in mind as you're filling this information out. And then also your phone numbers. You are allowed multiple phone numbers. This is especially useful if you're using like a toll-free number or whatever for tracking purposes. Your primary phone number, so that local phone number needs to be listed in the primary phone field, and then you can add toll-free or secondary phone numbers in the additional phone fields.
So it also allows you to do a profile short name. And so think of this more like a social media handle. So you can have up to 32 characters. And usually actually what I recommend, if you already have a social media short handle, use that, because then you're having consistency across all of your platforms. But some things to consider using with it is, of course, have it branded, keywords rich, and geography. If geography is important, if you want to have a city or a region with that. So those are some things to keep in mind when you're setting up your short name.
All right, so next, Google My Business allows you to create a free one-page website off of your Google My Business listing. All you have to do is sign into your account and then if you have multiple Google My Business listings, open the one for whichever listing you want to manage, and then you click that website menu to start creating your little website within Google My Business. A lot of people are like, well, why is this important if I already have a website? Well, industry experts feel that if you optimize your Google My Business listing to the best of your ability, it will help improve your search engine rankings. Google likes to see that you're taking advantage of all of its tools, and so creating this little website is one of the ways you can do that. It also allows you to separate your Google My Business traffic from the rest of your organic traffic. So keep that in mind as well. It's just a good way to kind of determine where traffic is coming from when you're looking at your website statistics.
So it also allows you to put any appointment URLs. So if you're a service-based business and you want people to go ahead and book in advance, there are already a large array that they have partnered with to make it very easy for you to be able to have that seamless interaction. So yes, we all want people to go to our website, but we also are aware of what it's like for our customers. We want to minimize those clicks. So if we can get them to click and book straight through that search and not have to do an extra click to our website and then to a booking page, great. So it really just streamlines that. So I would just make sure if you're using a feature like this, do make sure that you're tracking through those booking sites. We'll talk a little bit more about that, just to make sure that if you're measuring this, that you're still getting the results from that.